For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Breathitt. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Breathitt.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here at the controls. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. I'm just getting back into the swing of things after being sick for a little while. You can maybe still hear it in my voice. We were last week at the Dawson City, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, at the Dawson City Music Festival. We aired that on the radio live when we were up there in Yukon, and then you heard a recap or a replay of the highlights here on the Scribble podcast last Friday. And so the highlights again are at DCMF, Dawson City Music Festival, dcmf.jbonair.com. And I got to just tell you a quick story, because that was my third time to the town or the city, and then second time at the festival, which was in its 40th anniversary this year. And it's like you've gone back in time. I swear to you, when you walk down the gravel road and you look up at the buildings, you'd think that you're on a Hollywood movie set. You know, kind of like a back lot where there's like the old-time Western movie and the saloon and there's a shootout. This is actually what the town is really like. It's no joke. That's really what it is. And there's something so charming about it. One of my colleagues had said to me, people in town are just so, like, genuinely happy. Like, they're just really nice, friendly people. And I said, it's also quite an isolated community, so I'm sure they're happy when any kind of civilization rolls through town. But summer, absolutely, the population of the city is incredible, with all these people who take on summer jobs, and then they basically leave and they travel for the rest of the year. So it's quite common for people to have 2 or 3 jobs, work like dogs, and then just get out of town and then travel for 8 months of the year. So really fascinating when people do that. Lots of young people. And then there was the music festival where, you know, I had to say, one of my favorite memories of the first time that I was there was this girls' rock band, sort of a camp kind of thing, where young girls, and they were 8 to, I believe, 18, so young kids get introduced to music, and they learn an instrument, and they form a band, basically, and they write a song even, and that's kind of the culmination of the presentation is at the festival, and there's this thing called Kids Fest, and it's open to everybody, and everybody goes, and the kids just kind of get like this rock star welcome, and, you know, cheering, and it was a really good time. And so that was one of my fondest memories of it. Now, I'm going to be honest, the kids need a bit of work, right? I mean, they've been learning an instrument for a week, so they're certainly not rock band ready, but just to see their enthusiasm for music, it's quite fascinating. And, you know, I talked with a bunch of the girls after, and, you know, the parents and the organizer of that, and it's really quite cool, because, you know what, when you think about music, we're all affected by music, whether that's a song that we had as a kid, or maybe we had our first dance at our wedding, or whatever it is. Like, you can't escape music. It's just, it's in you, it's there. And it's one of those things where it's not like, even, you know, people don't necessarily like reading books, or people can't read, or whatever it is, but music is just, it's just there. Like, right? Like, you have to be touched by it. It either puts you in a mood, or it gets you out of a mood, or whatever it is. Music is there. And with so many schools and different education things being taken away from education, things being taken away, like English. It's refreshing to see these kids have a love for music instilled in them in such an early age. So again, the highlights are dcmf.jbonair.com. My thanks to everybody in Dawson City, Yukon, our friends at Travel Yukon as well, who made the trip possible, and my colleagues who were there. Special shout out to, I'm going to think of Will and Morgan and everybody who was there, and Sandra. I can't think of everybody's names. Deborah, we all had a great time. So thank you so much, everybody. dcmf.jbonair.com. I took a step into the 2000s at my house, and I'll tell you about that coming up right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here. We are back on the Scribble. I mentioned at the top of the show that I'm just sort of getting over being sick. And so when I go on a long rant or monologue or whatever you want to call it, like I just did in that opening segment, which ended up being about almost 4 minutes, I need to rehydrate because there's just something so dry about my throat. And so I just had to quickly throw to a break to get out of having to talk to you for even longer. But I do appreciate you tuning in. You can always give me a shout. Send me an email. But I can just read and I don't have to talk. live@jbonair.com is the email address, live@jbonair.com. Now, in the last segment, I mentioned that I have taken a step into the 2000s. Here's the deal. When I bought my house almost 11 years ago, I was very fortunate that things were working fine. Everything was great. I had a new roof, there was a new hot water tank, the windows were decent, like everything was really good. I didn't have to replace anything. There was nothing broken down. There was nothing that needed repair. I was very, very lucky. Now, obviously, over time, things wear down, right? And you need to replace this, you need to do that, you need to fix this. Well, again, 10 years in, I was still very lucky that I didn't have to do that. Well, maybe not. About 3 years ago, my washing machine kind of stopped spinning. Now, it would agitate, it would shake. You know, I'm doing the shaking, you can't really see. I'm shimmying, I'm shaking. It would still do that as it was washing, but then at the end, when it needed to spin out the clothing, it just didn't spin. So, I hit the internet like all good people would, Mr. Fix-It that I am, and I found that it just needed to be leveled, right? Just balance it out, and then it would spin properly. Good, I fixed it. I don't need a new washing machine. I am good, everybody. I saved the day. Well, then about a year or so ago, it started to drip, it started to leak. So I'd go to the laundry room, and full disclosure, I have a cleaning lady who cleans my house and then does the laundry at the same time, but there are times when I do need to do the laundry myself, that I'd have to throw towels down because I'm like, oh, it's just a little bit of water, it's not going to hurt anybody. Well, it's also not a very good thing. So finally, it almost became like flooding in a sense. Like there was just a lot of water, so we needed more and more towels to sop up the water. And then it would stop spinning again. So that's where I kind of gave in. My mom had come by one time. We were walking the dogs, and I'd told her about the washing machine, the laundry room situation, let's call it. And so she came in one day, and she's like, oh, you just need to get them replaced. And again, I'm just kind of like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't like change. I don't want something new. I'm used to how this one works. I get it. And she's like, you know what, for like not even $800. And sure enough, that's what it was. There was a sale. I got washer and dryer for $800, plus tax, whatever. And the washing machine was the only thing that needed to be replaced. But my mom said, you know what, the dryer is just as old, if not older, than the washing machine, so you might as well just replace that as well. Think about it in terms of energy efficiency and all this other crap. You're going to end up saving money by getting rid of this. So I gave in. It was just delivered last weekend. I just come back from, again, the Dawson City Music Festival. I had a reminder on my phone. Oh, that's right, this is coming tomorrow. All right, fine. So I unhook everything because I thought that they would actually do that for you. When they bring you in your new stuff and they take away your old ones, I thought they'd connect your new stuff. They don't do that. So I was able to figure out how to do it. And I go and they put the things into place. The washer is on one side, the dryer's on the other. I'm like, okay, they're a little bit smaller than the other ones that I had, so I've got a bit of space now. But it's good. We're good. I connect it. This tube goes in here. This is hot. This is cold water. Okay. And then there's that big tube at the back for the dryer where it, makes your backyard smell bouncy fresh. That pipe tube thing. I don't know what it's called, the vent, whatever. And so I go and I put each one of them on like the test cycle. So I go and put the stuff in the washing machine. You don't actually put the detergent or anything in it. You just kind of set it on a test cycle. And then I go and do the same thing with the dryer. Well, I come back down to the laundry room when I sense that it's going to be done. And it's like a sauna in the laundry room. Well, I didn't connect that tube at the back of the dryer fully. So it was just blowing the hot air into the laundry room. And then it's like it's raining because now the humidity, like the pipes in the laundry room are dripping down because it's like it's so hot in there, and the condensation and the fog, it was so, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And then at one point, I'm trying to do like an actual load of laundry, and I just didn't know. I'm going from a washing machine that had 2 dials on it, and that was it. Now I've got dials, I've got lights that make sounds. I'm just like, I don't know there's a lock on it. I couldn't open the door. And I was ready to flop down on the ground and start crying for my mom. Like, it was just one of those moments where I'm like, what am I getting myself? What did I do? I realize that this is new, but for me, new is like threatening when it comes to stuff in my house like that. I don't know, I just don't like it. And it was the weekend though, my parents were at the lake. I was so tempted to call my mom, and I actually, full disclosure, I did text my mom, and I was like, I sent her a picture of the display on the washing machine. I'm like, I don't get it. So it was best as she could. She's like, okay, take a closer picture so that she can read the dials. She walked me through how to use my washing machine from the lake. That's a mom for you, isn't it, everybody? I'm just so embarrassed to tell you that story. Let's move on. But no, I got to tell you though. So now fast forward technology, 20 years later, I can put like so much more in here, and the dryer like senses when stuff is dry, because I'm like, well, I can't set the time as to when this stops, because before I would have to turn the dial and I would decide when the dryer was done. Now the dryer knows when the clothes are dry, and it just stops when they're dry. So of course I had to test that, right? I'm like, well, okay, it's been going for a while. I'm going to stop this and open it up. Sure enough, they were still wet. And then about 10 minutes later, it stops, and sure enough, it's dry. So, yeah, I didn't trust the technology. Now I just have to believe. So, there's my... God, why do I tell these stories? I don't even know. So, I'm a proud owner of a new washer and dryer, by the way. Yeah, that's my biggest purchase of my house, I gotta tell you. Aside from the house itself, the biggest purchase, a washer and dryer for $800. It's sad, isn't it, everybody? It is just sad. We're gonna take a break. I've got even more stories for you coming up on the Scribble.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Jeremy Bradley here. We are back on the Scribble again. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. I might not be all that open to change, as I mentioned in the last segment, by getting a new washer and dryer. I'm the appliance king, everybody. I am the appliance king. I was open to food delivery. Now, back in the day, remember, it was basically just pizza or Chinese food. Really, that was kind of really the only delivery that you'd get. But now with these apps, now it's really convenient if you're traveling and you don't live in the city and you know your chain restaurants, right? And you're guaranteed that food. But again, if you're traveling, get out and explore the local restaurants. That's my one piece of advice. But there are times when, for instance, if I'm holed up in a hotel room late at night, it's like 10 o'clock and I've got to do work and I can't really spend an hour at a restaurant, hour and a half, you just get food delivered. And that's kind of what ends up happening when I travel. And so food delivery is good and bad, and I'll tell you why. Because undoubtedly, you have thought you're very lucky that you can order this and have it sent to you because it's your favorite restaurant and they now do delivery. But it's not quite the same, and so I feel that it almost works against some restaurants. Because if I've never had your food before, and then it does come to me, and it's cold, and the fries are soggy, and the food just isn't really what I expect it to be, that really does hurt your reputation. Now, I realize that it's the delivery driver who took so long, and da-da-da-da, that's why the food isn't great quality. But from what I hear in people who own restaurants or that are in the food service industry, is that they almost feel like their arms are twisted to be part of this whole delivery craze, because if you're not, you're missing out. And so I'm kind of going in a bunch of different directions on this one story, but from a customer's point of view, from a food eater's point of view, it doesn't do your restaurant any favors because, excuse me, I have now had really bad food. And so I remember, now I'm just making up a name here, I remember that I had bad food at Charlie's when I was in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or whatever, okay? I remember that Charlie's food was really bad when I was there, and so I'm not going to give it a good review. Now, there's lots of things to consider, right? When I place my order, let's say, let me look at the time. So it's noon, it's 12, it's lunchtime, and I ordered now. Well, the food could be ready within 15 minutes, but then we're waiting for the driver to get all the way to the restaurant to pick it up. Then we're waiting for the driver to pick it up at the restaurant because they have to come in, say, I'm picking up this order, da-da-da-da. And then they've got to now drive to me, which I could be 15, 20 minutes away. So fast forward 45 minutes where your food has been sitting and waiting, and it's just really gross food. Now, if it is wrong, well, how do I get it back to the restaurant? What do I do, right? If you ordered pizza from the pizza restaurant and they deliver it to you, well, they can come and pick up the old one and bring you a new one. But now your driver's long gone because he's on the next delivery and he really doesn't give a crap. He's got his tip and he's good to go. So this works against the restaurant because they're basically compromising the quality of their food to be part of this delivery service. Now, I had an experience one time where I had ordered from a fast food chain. I won't name the restaurant. But again, it was sort of close to my house. If I were to walk to the restaurant, it was about 15 or 20 minutes away. If I were to drive, it was about 5 minutes. But again, I had other things on the go. I was doing stuff around the house. I've got the app open on my phone, and I can be ready for when the food is about to arrive. Okay, I can continue on doing my work, cleaning the house, whatever I was doing. And so I ordered food. Now, this was dinner time. Let's say it's 6 p.m. So I had ordered at 6 p.m., and it says, okay, your food will be arriving at 6:30. Well, then it's readjusting, and it's saying 6:40, 6:45, 6:50. And I was kind of like, well, that's really weird. And it shows you on the map where your driver is, and he's going in other different directions with other orders. And then I get a message saying that the restaurant needs more time to prepare your order. Now, I'm not lying. This is a fast food restaurant. I have never gone to a fast food restaurant in person, no matter how busy they have been. I've never had to wait 50 minutes for fast food. So I chalk it up to it being delivery. So I take it upon myself to call the restaurant. I call the fast food restaurant, and I say, are you guys particularly busy right now? Because I've got an order in, and they say that you need more time, but I find that to be ridiculous that a fast food restaurant needs more than 50 minutes to make my food. So the manager's like, well, no, it says the make time, the cooking time is for 6:30, and I was like, well, why would it be 6:30? I ordered it for now. I don't understand that. So, this app that will remain unnamed, but it's a Canadian one from my hometown of Winnipeg, Manitoba, but this app is putting it on the restaurant that the restaurant needs more time. So I then say to the restaurant, you know what, cancel it. You don't even need to make it. I'm going to just order from somebody else. I'll just make my own food at home. Cancel the order. Well, they say you can't do that. You've got to go through the app. And I said, that's fine. You're going to end up making the food for nothing then, but at least I'm giving you a heads up that this order is going to be canceled. So I go to the app to get help, and there's like 40-some people, it says, getting assistance before me. So I'm thinking by the time that they get to me, they're going to now start the order, and I'm going to be on the hook for it. So at least I was able to leave a message and say, cancel the order, I don't want this, it's taking too long, this is ridiculous, whatever. And then all of a sudden I see that the driver has arrived at the restaurant. And I'm like, what is going on here? This is so backwards that they've dispatched the driver. They haven't canceled the order. The poor guy is driving around thinking that he's picking up this order for me. He's not. And I thought, whatever. You know what? I've done my part to say cancel it before that they've actually started to process the order. I've done my part. Whoever's paying for it, whoever's not my NMP, not my problem. Not my problem, but it was so frustrating because now we're going on almost 7:30. This is fast forward an hour and a half after I ordered. That my stomach was just so like, that I wasn't even hungry anymore. I actually went without dinner that night. Can you believe it? I went without dinner because it was taking so long, and I was like, you know what? I'm fine waiting an hour. 7 o'clock isn't that bad. No, it was the principle behind it. I am not waiting an hour and a half for a fast food greasy bag delivery order. I just couldn't do it. So then I ended up writing a newspaper column, and I went on this big rant. But apparently restaurants just feel coerced because you're missing out on business. If you're not part of the delivery app thing, you're not you're going to be losing out on business. And so I was reading, I don't know if it was the New York Times or somebody had a story about it, where they were talking with the owner of a restaurant, and they just said, you know what, we actually took ourselves off it because it's compromising the quality of our food. And so that's a credible restaurant that you want, that's going to say, you know what, our food ends up getting to the customer in a shitty quality. It's not worth it to us. No. But they also find that some of their loyal customers who used to be coming in there and dining and having a glass of wine and basically making a night of it aren't doing it anymore because now they're just having it delivered to their house. I say, you know what, there is nothing that beats a night out at a restaurant where you can just go, get out of the house. And I'm not saying like at night, like 3-4 hours there. It's just you can get out, you can people watch, you don't have to worry about washing the dishes, you can just have somebody else pour your wine for you, and it's a good time. So I am still of the mindset, as lazy and as cheap as I am, go out to a restaurant and enjoy the meal there. It is brought to your table moments after it's cooked. You don't have to have it packaged up, brought to you in styrofoam, have it lose heat and flavor and everything on the way. Go to a restaurant. There you go. I would also love to hear your thoughts on this. If you've had a crummy delivery service experience, and I'm willing to bet that probably 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, if not more than that, 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 people has had a bad food delivery experience. I want to know the story. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. We're back on the Scribble right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. Again, thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. I really do appreciate those commercial breaks, got to tell you, because like I said, we just got back from the Dawson City Music Festival, and I lost my voice. The festival wrapped up on like the Sunday night, and then Monday we had spent in Whitehorse, and then Tuesday we had a really late night, by the way, on Monday, celebrating somebody's birthday, and we had a big goodbye and whatever. And I woke up on Tuesday with a sore throat, and then I kind of just wasn't feeling that great. I hadn't slept, so I just figured it's my body, it's catching up with me. And then I was sick then for the week, and I'm still kind of a little bit under the weather. But those breaks when I get a nice glass of water and I'm good. No drinking for me, by the way. We overdrank. Certainly we overdrank. But while I was sick, I had the opportunity to kind of lounge around the house. We had a few days off. I had a few days off. And I was able to lounge around the house and just get caught up on TV shows and movies and things like that. And so I thought, because I was feeling gross, let me just kind of watch some old school movies that'll take me back to childhood, okay? And so 2 of the movies that I watched, Caddyshack was one of them, and then Weekend at Bernie's. Now, here's the deal. I remember these movies from when I was a kid, and I remember watching them with my family. And I remembered them to be hilarious. I remembered them to be funny. And the reason why I remember that is because years ago, or just since then, I've heard my mom reference those movies. So she's made a comment about Weekend at Bernie's, or that guy looks like Bernie, or whatever. And so that triggers the thought in my head, oh, those were funny movies, okay? So I thought, here I'm scrolling through on the TV and I'm looking, and there's the 2 movies, Caddyshack and Weekend at Bernie's. So one night, the first night I watched Caddyshack, and I kind of thought, this is sort of funny, but it's not funny. And as a kid, I wouldn't have understood the jokes anyway, right? And same thing with Weekend at Bernie's. I wouldn't really have understood what was going on. I didn't get, mobsters and, this guy's they put out a hit on him and what have you. And so I kind of felt let down. So when Weekend at Bernie's was over, I was kind of like, well, I guess it was kind of funny. So I don't know if it was just that I thought they were funny because my parents were laughing when we were watching it. Like my 2 older brothers, maybe they understood. They're only a few years older than I am. But so maybe they understood it and I just kind of laughed because I wanted to fit in and I thought, oh, this is a really funny movie. I'm kind of Or maybe your sense of humor changes over time. But I was definitely a kid when I watched them, so I really didn't quite get it. And same thing can go for TV shows like Married with Children. I remember laughing at Al Bundy and the things that he was saying on Married with Children when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. Now, as an adult, when I watch it, I find it really funny. Like, I understand the humor now. And again, no different than movies like Austin Powers and things where there's the double entendre. And, you know, I was a teenager, or well, maybe preteen. And, you know, I think that I kind of understand it. Now I get it. Now I get the adult jokes behind the things. But anyway, so have you had one of those instances where you think like, oh, I loved that movie when I was a kid, or oh, that was just awesome. And then you see it as an adult and you're kind of like, yeah, I don't really like, that wasn't, kind of like, it now kind of ruins it for you. People say the same thing. I was asked that a couple of times in Dawson City because obviously I interview celebrities and I meet them on red carpets and things like that. And people say, like, you know, have you kind of met anybody that you had these high expectations and then when you actually talk to them, you were sort of disappointed because it wasn't what you thought? And I don't know that I've really had that. I go into it from a business, you know, I'm going into it with a show, with content in mind, not like, oh my God, I'm starstruck. So I don't know that I've ever had that situation. But I understand the question, which is, you know, like I've met Donald Trump. And so people asking, you know, well, was it what you expected? Well, you have to remember that this is before the days of the presidency and all those things. So it was a different, you know, vibe. And I've told the story on the show, what it was like to meet him and what I thought. And he was very charitable to a woman who had cancer, and he went and did a picture with her, and it was just very nice. So I don't know that maybe people are different. It's no different than when you meet somebody on the internet on a dating website and then you go and meet them and they're, you know, completely different. How many people have had that happen where you've spent weeks or months conversing with somebody and then you finally meet them and you're just kind of like, oh, that's not really what I thought or what I expected, right? That happens. So anyway, has there been a movie, TV show, or something that you kind of just loved as a kid, and then when you were older, you're like, it's dead to me now? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. And this might take a bit of thinking for you, because again, like I said, I thought that I would watch these movies and be rolling on the floor laughing. And then again, maybe that's just because my sense of humor has changed, or maybe we have a new expectation of what humor is, right? Maybe we've kind of set the bar now where it's a different kind of funny that we like. We certainly know that we're in an overly sensitive society, so not everything that was funny, speaking of Married with Children, not everything that was funny back in the day can be funny now. And it can be funny to you, but you'll be called names and a hateful bigot and what have you. But anyway, that's not the point of this story. Anyway, live@jbonair.com. We're back with a little bit more on the Scribble right after this.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter @The Scribble Show and @thescribbleshow.com.
That's right, Larson. I am also on the Twitter @Jeremy D. Bradley, Jeremy, the letter D, Bradley, Bradley, @Jeremy D. Bradley, which reminds me, I am live tweeting the Bachelorette finale. As Becca, you know, it's down to the final two as what she's about to pick. You never know. And fun fact, you know, I was talking about the Dawson City Music Festival and how I had to basically make sure that I was near a TV to live tweet Bachelorette when I got there. It was quite comical to have my colleague in my hotel room at the time watching, basically see how this all plays out when I do a live tweet. But again, thanks to everybody who live tweets throughout the season with me. Make some new friends in Bachelor Nation. I hate calling it that, but that's what they call it, Bachelor Nation. I don't know. I do want to ask you another question just before we run out of time here. When you are sick, as again I said that I've been sick for a few days and I am kind of just getting over it now. When you're sick, do you like being taken care of? Do you like somebody to bring you more juice and make you soup and do all this and fix your bath for you and all that other stuff? Or are you like me and you just like being left alone? Do you want to just people stay away from me, don't talk to me, don't fawn all over me, I don't need the towel on my head. If I want something to drink, I'll go get it. Which one are you? Because I think that people are one of two things. You either want somebody to spoil you and take care of you and baby you and get you through it, or you just want to be left alone and wallow in your own misery. What do you do? Back when I was a kid, I loved having Mom, you know, get me some ginger ale and, you know, feel my forehead and you know, do all that stuff. As an adult now, I'm just like, everybody just stay away from me. Don't talk to me. Don't ask how I'm doing. When I'm ready to emerge and be seen again, you'll see me. You'll hear from me. The phones get turned off, like everything. When I'm sick, just leave me alone. I don't want, and I'll watch bad movies that piss me off even more because I thought they were funny. Anyway, send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. It's August, summer's almost over, you know, it's back into the swing of things for everybody, so you know your mood is just going to be in a pissy situation for the next little while anyway. But enjoy August while it's here. You got the hot summer weather. It looks like people are, the sad story of the forest fires and wildfires that are happening right now in California and up in Canada where I'm from. It's crazy the way this weather thing is going and the fire situation, but hopefully everybody will make it out okay and you enjoy the rest of your summer. All right. Feel free to give me a shout. Again, the email address, live@jbonair.com, and the highlights from Dawson City Music Festival from mid to late July is at dcmf.jbonair.com, dcmf.jbonair.com. I will talk to you same time, same place next week. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,